So from my last video I guessed in, I opened up about homophobia, which was the hardest thing to talk about. Although I never really talked a lot about religion because, well, I had my reasons. So that's what I'll be talking about today along with a guest on the channel. But before we get into it, hit that like button. So quick notes, this video also ties into the LGBT community, so if you're not part of it or you have something against it, then I recommend you click out of it right now and go watch a different video. But today we have a guest on my channel, Noel. How's your day going?
It's going pretty good. Happy to be here. How about you?
Pretty good. So this topic is really hard for me to personally talk about. So Noel, why don't you start us off with your experiences with the trauma?
Absolutely. So yeah, today's topic, religious trauma. So this is one I could go on about forever, but I will give you a summary of my experience. So I live in Appalachia, and that is considered the Bible Belt, for reference, for those who didn't know that. And so yeah, it's more popular to be a Christian here than not, I would say. It's one of those areas where it's almost weird if you don't go to church. Churches are on like every corner, they're everywhere. And I was raised in church. I went to what was considered a non-denominational church, but to me it gives all the typical vibes of a Baptist church, really, is the best thing I could explain it to. Lots of hellfire brimstone preaching, screaming, that kind of like beating on the pulpit type of thing, like very loud type of atmosphere. Lots of fear-based preaching versus like God's love and like praise and worship type of thing. So I would say that's where my religious trauma originated from, is just from being a child in that atmosphere, when my brain is still developing, and hearing these messages that are really spooky and scary. My pastor would talk a lot about people being on their deathbeds, and he would go to visit them in the hospital, and they would be screaming because they could see hell because they weren't saved or they weren't Christians, and he would kind of use stuff like that to scare people into becoming a Christian. Of course, the people that do this, they do think that they're helping people by saving them from hell, but really for me, it created this fear of like never being good enough. Even once I became a Christian and got saved, I just didn't feel worthy, because I had heard all these messages about how horrible we naturally are as humans, and how we really don't deserve Jesus' forgiveness, and not in a way of like gratitude, more in a way of self-deprecation. So it was hard to have confidence in myself hearing these messages. So yeah, that's like the main thing. I also grew up in I went to a Christian private school until middle school, and I ended up being homeschooled after that. But I don't have a lot of like religious traumas from the school. I think it's just, for me, it's like the combination of the hellfire brimstone preaching, and then just the rules of Christianity kind of being in my face constantly. I really attached to that, and I should mention too that I have OCD, so I feel like it was the perfect storm for me to become like obsessed over these ideas and very perfectionist. I was always fearful of authority as a kid, so I didn't want to disappoint God or disappoint the people that were teaching me this stuff. So that's like the main general like background of my religious trauma, how I think it developed My parents, I do want to clarify, were very lax and chill, even though they also were Christians. But my dad actually left the church when I was 10 because he was tired of the politicizing that was going on in the church. And then me and my mom left later when I was in my teen years. But, her whole side of the family was very big into church, raised in church. Most of them still are very active in church. So it was kind of just a generational thing that got passed down to me, but I think I took it a lot more seriously than maybe other people in my family did, which led to it being pretty toxic. So, yeah, there's my elevator pitch of of my background with religious trauma. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess my religious trauma came from after I posted about gay marriage in a negative way, and people were coming after me for it, and eventually losing trust from one of my best friends who fought in this video I'm gonna call Mavis, and that was kind of the last straw for me, and so so I just stopped going to church for a very long while, and I was just really mad at God and mad at everyone, and there were also times where I just got bad at certain people for no apparent reason, and
yeah.
Spiral.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of that, I didn't even think about this till you just said that, but if y'all want to hear more about that story, Blade of Sun 95 actually talked about that on my channel too. So yeah, we had a really good conversation about that instance of the homophobia and the coming back from that, the friendships, all of that. That was a really good conversation. But yeah, I can absolutely see getting religious trauma from that, because we feel like we're doing what we're taught to do and told to do when we do stuff like that, right? And then when you realize how harmful it is, like you said, because it's weird, I know, because I'm gay and I'm out as gay, but I was very condescending and judgmental as a teenager, and I thought I was helping other people by doing that, but I would actually come down really hard on my cousin. He was my best friend. He's passed away now. He passed away when we were 17, but we were like brother, sister, like same age, all that stuff, grew up like siblings, and I came down hard on him a lot because I was just so self-righteous, and I thought I was saving him from like sin. So even everything from the music he would listen to whether he said cuss words or not, whatever, I would really come down hard on him, trying to save his soul, and he would just get so annoyed. He's like, shut up. But like, I really appreciate that he loved me despite that, because now that I see that in the past, I'm like, man, that's exactly what I can't stand now, and I was doing it to other people, which I do think is part of that hierarchy, like, when they push the culty type of mindset on us, we become like that, so yeah, I've been there too, just want you to know that. I don't think I even told you that before too much, but yeah, definitely see being angry for a while after that, because it's like, man, everything I thought I was doing right that they told me to do actually cost me friendships. Like, that sucks, it could have cost me a friendship too with my cousin, so yeah, that's a tough one. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. Yeah, did you how did you kind of recover from that? Did you end up, back in church, or
well, after a while, I did go back to church and got up and moved on from it.
Yeah.
But there are some days where some topics are brought up, whether it has to do with like lesbian, bisexual, or trans.
Yeah.
And people changing their gender. It's like those type of topics that would just exit the storm out of the sanctuary and had had uh, I escaped to the restroom and just composed myself. Like I was even trying to. I was also using it, but also wanted to calm my body down from shaking, and I could just hear my heart being faster. Like
Yep. Yeah.
yeah. So those type of topics, that's like I do believe in the Bible, because those type of topics, I just have to put my foot down.
Yeah.
And it's like we're supposed to love each other.
Yeah.
Supposed to love each other, like we do as ourselves.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. I know that feeling you're talking about too, because one of the last times I went to church, it wasn't the church I grew up in. I ended up going to not a more progressive church, just a more modern church when I was like 17, after my cousin passed away that I was talking about. I got invited to it, so I was like, oh, I'll start going here, because like they did praise and worship versus like hymnals, and it just seemed more my vibe. But the last time I went there for an Easter sermon, and this was in 2015 when gay marriage was legalized, and I went there for an Easter sermon thinking, well, they can't possibly politicize an Easter sermon. This is a good time of hope. We're talking about Jesus' resurrection. Like, this is a positive thing. Surely they will focus on Jesus, not politics. Lo and behold, they did the whole sermon on gay marriage, why it's wrong, why we can't condone our friends' lifestyles like this, and we need to fight against it, and all this stuff. And that was the last time I went there, but I had that same feeling that you're talking about. Like, I felt like this drop in my stomach, and my heart was racing, and I'm like shaking, because I'm like angry and also shocked by it, because it's just not what I expected to be hearing. It's not a good feeling, yeah. And that same church, actually, because I started youth group when I was like 17, the cutoff is after you turn 18, you're not in youth group anymore because you're an adult. So the pastor asked me if I wanted to like stay and help with leading the youth, like maybe just be like the top person for like the middle school girls. It wasn't a big church. So I was like, yeah, sure. But when I went to sign the paperwork, they had this contract written up that said the weirdest things. It was like pretty much telling me I couldn't post about any personal views on Facebook if they weren't Christian based, which essentially was saying it was political. It was like, don't be a Democrat, or don't be liberal. And it's like, wow, like you're telling people how their politics should be. That doesn't seem right. So anyway, I signed it because I was young and I thought I would get the volunteer hours for college and stuff. But throughout college, I started accepting who I was as a lesbian and working through therapy, and I was like, I need to quit this position before I come out, because they will absolutely fire me or like let me go of it, make a big awkward conversation if I don't. So I did quit before I came out as gay, but that was a weird thing, because it was like, I don't think you should be policing people's political views just so they can be part of your church. Like, that's wild to me. And then just the fact that they think that, like, embracing people like that, loving and accepting people like that is wrong, that's a whole other conversation. So, yeah, that was definitely an experience that I had, and that was kind of the end for me. Now, as far as going back, I wouldn't go back to that church, but there are other churches that are definitely progressive around here that I've considered, religiously. I don't really know what I identify as, but I kind of believe that there's some kind of core truth to all of it, and that maybe over time it's just been muddied by humans, because humans are very imperfect, right? And we don't want to worship or listen to them too much, because ultimately I would rather have a direct line to God and talk to God personally, right? But I do think you're right with church, like, you could absolutely go and disagree with things that they say, but we never want to fall into the mindset where we think they're right about everything, right? So I think that that's really good that you were able to take a step away, go back and be like, I don't like this, so I'm going to step out for a second and come back for what works for you, I think that's cool.
Right. Yeah.
Hi,
So,
Spyro.
I think that'll do for this part. I'm gonna shift to why don't talk about religion in public, like especially from that on recent events which we're not gonna talk about.
Yes. yes, for sure.
Like it's like after it's like it's almost gonna happen to me if I talk to when I talk about my views about my beliefs. It's like very scary.
It is very scary, and that's that's a whole thing, right? Like the black and white extremist stuff is so frustrating, and that's why I think what you're doing here is really beautiful, because here you are saying, hey, like, I go to church, you know, I believe in God, and I also embrace my LGBTQ friends, because it's like, it's my place to love them, not to judge them, right? Like, that's beautiful, and I literally got chills, like, again, I got chills, like, saying that, but it's super emotional, for me, because, like, for, like, coming out and also being a Christian was just really hard, because I felt like I had to pick between the two things, and it's just nice to have friends and people that I know that are embracing, you know, everything that we are, not just, you know, picking and choosing. So I think that's very beautiful. I think what you're doing here is great, right? And we want to avoid, like the event you were talking about, all the extreme, all the extreme stuff. It's not us versus them. It should be us all coming together and understanding each other, instead of writing people off and stereotyping people. So I think that's really good.
Yeah. Okay. I would think so too. Now, is there any closing thoughts you want to share before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I think the main thing I want to say, and just the final thing I would say to the listeners out there, is if you feel torn between two different labels or two different things because society or people are telling you have to pick, I just want you to know that, like, you are who you are. Your labels are just minor parts of what makes up you. And it's just so important to just be you, be yourself. If you are a Christian and you're gay, cool. If you are an atheist and you're straight, awesome. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, what combination of labels make up you. You are uniquely yourself, and nobody can tell you otherwise. So I think that's the main thing I want to say. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. So in other words, just be yourself.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Okay. So, why don't you tell the viewers out there where they can find you?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much. So yes, I am known on YouTube as NotRiptosFather. I make a lot of Spyro content on YouTube. YouTube is my main thing. Yeah, I use TikTok to repurpose stuff from the channel, but YouTube is where I want you to listen to me if you can, so definitely check out my YouTube channel. I make a lot of Spyro content, shorts, playthroughs, but I also do some Zelda, some Crash Bandicoot, trying to get some more Super Mario on the channel. So yeah, lots of retro gaming, and then I do a series called Toasting Yorks Talking Mental Health that Blade of Sun 95 has actually been featured on, that, you know, dives into some deeper topics as I play Spyro the Dragon. Spyro's kind of my crutch as I open up about things, so I play Spyro while I talk about specific topics, mental health topics, spirituality, that sort of thing. So that's where we get a little bit more deep and personal, but overall, lots of playthroughs, fun stuff, and then a little bit of serious stuff sprinkled in there. So yeah, thank you for the channel shout out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you're new, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to it if you're new, and be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video from me when I upload or do a live stream, whatever. And be sure to follow me on social media too. For other stuff, you know. Yeah. So yeah, take care, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care, guys.
Awesome. Bye.